You ever notice how the loudest person in the room isn't always the most powerful? Sometimes the most anchored one, the one who doesn't flinch, doesn't fold, doesn't rush to defend or prove, is the one that shifts everything. Stillness like that is not weakness, it's wisdom. Hi, love. I'm Kay Ali Cole, and this is where women learn to love and lead from power, peace, and purpose. This is where we return to our truth. This is where softness is strategy, silence is sacred, and alignment is your greatest flex. Before we begin, Queen, stay with me until the very end. Your exclusive Queen's Closing gift is waiting right there for you. And I see so many of you watching but not subscribing yet. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. You give me your time, I give you my best. That's our promise to each other. I'll wait. Did you hit subscribe? Did you? All right, thank you, Queen. Now let's begin. Let's be clear, Queen. Completely crystal clear. Stillness is not the absence of action. Stillness is presence under pressure. It's clarity in motion. It's the decision to respond from vision, not from noise. And in a world that mistakes constant movement for purpose, this kind of stillness is revolutionary because you weren't just taught to move and taught to be consistently going and going. You were trained to perform, to predict the moods in the room before they shifted, to speak before silence made people uncomfortable, to fix things before they fell apart, even if that meant falling apart yourself. But let's call this what it is: survival scripting. You weren't being too helpful. You were managing the atmosphere just to feel safe in it. That's not peace. That's emotional labor. It is. But here's the shift. You don't need to explain your stillness anymore. You don't need to justify your pause. You don't owe anyone a performance just because they're uncomfortable with your calm. When you lead from alignment instead of adrenaline, you become a new woman. You do. And listen very closely. Stillness is not passive. It isn't. It is precision. It is spiritual authority with receipts. The old version of you jumped into the group chat to clear things up. This version of you, she closes the app and whispers, that doesn't belong to me. Not out of coldness, but clarity. Let's talk about why stillness is your new strategy. Because stillness is where your boundaries get built. Stillness is where your nervous system repairs. Stillness is where you stop handing out access to people who only show up with conditions. And you don't need to chase peace anymore. You're learning how to protect it. Because the woman who needs noise to feel needed, she's exhausted. She's tired. She's the one who over-apologized just to keep people comfortable. She's the one who stayed too long, replied too fast, gave too much just to feel okay. But now, you're learning to breathe before you respond. You're learning to pause before you participate. You're learning that if it costs your peace, it's not part of your purpose. Let's pause here. Because there's a sacred kind of stillness that happens when you finally stop begging for understanding. When you realize that silence isn't a punishment, it's a protective space. A space where clarity has room to land. And sometimes the silence feels lonely, but it's not. It's just different than the noise you're used to. It's not abandonment. It's alignment. It's not coldness. It's consecration, love. You don't have to perform your growth anymore. Those days are over. You just have to protect it. And stillness does that for you. Because when your nervous system no longer feels safe unless you're managing someone else's emotions, that's not love. That's programming. Stillness helps you unlearn that. Stillness says, I am not here to convince. I am not here to fix. I am not here to carry emotional weight that isn't mine. Right? And let's be real. Let's be real. Stillness in a woman, it makes a man either rise or reveal. Because emotional safety isn't about softness alone. It's about standards. A man who's ready will learn how to lean into your quiet confidence. A man who's not, he will try to provoke and have you to perform and give that same performance you used to. Let them show themselves. Your calm is the clearest invitation and the sharpest boundary. Let's talk about how powerful stillness really is. Because when you stop reacting to everything, you start discerning what actually deserves your energy. And the truth is, not everything does. You don't need to attend every disagreement. You don't need to correct every misperception. You don't need to explain your evolution to people who only love the version of you who bent. That's not growth. That's glorified people pleasing. And we're done doing that. We're completely finished with that. So here's a new strategy, right? Stillness before reaction. Stillness before response. Stillness before re-engaging old dynamics. Because stillness is where your standards recalibrate. And when you operate from this space, you stop chasing closure. You stop fighting to be understood. You stop auditioning for love in rooms that never deserved your softness. You start choosing yourself. Right? You start choosing yourself. You know that moment where the message bubbles pops up on your phone and you feel your chest tighten because you already know it's going to be drama. And instead of typing back a 3-paragraph reply, you sit your phone down, walk to a window, look out, and just breathe. That's stillness. That's stillness as strategy. Not because you're avoiding, but because you're anchored, right? Let me say this clearly. Stillness isn't about withdrawal. It's about wisdom. It's not silence out of fear. It's silence with authority. Because not everyone deserves access to your energy. Not everyone gets to pull you out of your peace. Not every moment needs your words, just your awareness, right? Just your awareness. And tell me why the moment you decide to stay calm and non-reactive, here comes the plot twist. A just checking in text from the same person who left you on red for a whole week straight. It's like your growth gets tested the minute you announce it to your own soul. That's when you know you're doing something right. You're on the right track. You are. Let's anchor here. Stillness is not your silence. It's your strength. It's how you hear God more clearly. It's how you protect your clarity. It's how you make decisions with dignity and not desperation. Stillness says, I am no longer the translator for everyone else's discomfort. I am no longer the fixer in dynamics that disrespect me. I am no longer the woman who mistakes busyness for purpose. I move when God says move. I rest when Spirit says rest. I speak when clarity is present, not just because silence is awkward. Right? Queen, you have to know this, that this stillness is not the break before your next breakdown. It isn't. It's the strategy behind your breakthrough. Let it hold you. Let it heal you. Let it lead you. All right? We're just getting started. This is a message that will help you to understand this, that stillness is a strategy, and that not everything deserves your voice. Some things only deserve your silence. Stillness isn't the absence of response, love. It's the presence of restraint. It's not just you deciding not to speak. It's you deciding what's worth your spirit. Because if you're being honest, you used to respond to everything. Every slight, every tone shift, every change in their mood. You became fluent in translation, decoding what wasn't said, filling in every blank space, giving everyone the benefit of the doubt until there was nothing left for you. But Queen, the healed you knows better now. She knows that not every disturbance deserves your disruption. She knows silence isn't passive, it's potent. And she knows peace is not weakness, it's wisdom. They taught us that to be heard, we had to raise our voice. To be seen, we had to overperform. To be loved, we had to prove we were worthy over and over and over again. But what if your stillness is actually the proof? What if silence isn't backing down? It's standing firm in who you are. The world expects noise, but your soul thrives in stillness. Because in the quiet, clarity comes. In the pause, you hear what your spirit has been whispering for months. You don't need to fight for what's already yours. You don't. Take a breath with me for a second. Not to reset, not to recover, just to remember who you are. That breath, that's your power source. You spent so much time defending your softness, your emotions, your love, but stillness is the first language of emotional authority. You don't speak unless it builds. You don't explain unless it clarifies. And you don't respond unless it's aligned. Right? Just breathe. I want to ask you, you ever hold your phone in your hand, feeling that heat rise in your chest, ready to respond with a paragraph, but something in you says, put it down and walk away. And the air feels different. That's your nervous system thanking you. That's your spirit doing the leading. That's what stillness as strategy feels like. That pause, that moment. Stillness doesn't mean you don't care. It means you stop leaking care where it's not safe. Let that sink in. You've matured past proving. You've grown beyond chasing. You've outlived the need to be understood by people who only listen to control you. That's not attitude. It's alignment. Because when you move from urgency to clarity, your entire life starts shifting. It does. And a man who is rooted, secure, and aligned doesn't need to chase your reaction. He listens to your silence. He respects your restraint. Because real men don't respond to chaos. They're drawn to consistency. And that quiet woman, she's not confusing. She's clear. Stillness shows him that your emotions are not his playground. They are your power. Here's a part we don't say out loud. You used to explain yourself over and over because somewhere deep down, you believe that if you could just find the right words, they'd finally treat you right. But Queen, it was never about the words. It was about worth. And now that you've remembered yours, you speak from knowing, not from hoping. Not from hoping they'll finally hear you. Right? This is where we get a little exposed. I want to ask you, tell me why we'll rehearse a whole speech in the shower. Tone, timing, everything. Just to send back one word. Noted. Or worse, the thumbs up emoji. You know why? Because that's restraint with a mic drop. And you know what? It feels better than explaining ever did. Right? Stillness is a strategy not because it hides you, but because it reveals what you're no longer willing to hold. You don't owe your energy to confusion. You don't. You don't need to carry their projections to keep the peace. We're done doing that. Your silence isn't the absence of care. It's the presence of boundaries. And here's something no one told you. The shift doesn't always start loud. It starts in the pause, in a moment when you decide, I no longer abandon myself to be included. When you choose to let discomfort rise without needing to fix it, that's when power settles into your bones, in your marrow. Right? You don't need to teach people how to treat you through essays. You teach them with silence, with absence, with non-participation. Because the healed woman, she doesn't chase peace. She doesn't. She enforces it. And when she enforces peace, everything around her aligns or exits. For real. Imagine being in a room where tension is high, voices are sharp, and you feel the urge to jump in, to fix, to soothe, to mediate. But instead, you stay seated, you stay grounded, you stay quiet. You decide this isn't mine to carry. That's a holy decision. Stillness isn't stepping back, it's you standing in something deeper. Your divine assignment. Let me tell you the truth that changed everything for me. Peace is not the absence of sound. It's an absence of striving. Stillness is what happens when your worth is no longer on the auction block. When you stop auditioning for love, when you stop shrinking for safety, when you stop bending your values just to feel seen, you become silent, not because you've lost your voice, but because you've learned the power of choosing when and where to use it. Right? There's a calm building inside you now, one that doesn't flinch when people pull back. It's okay, let them. Because you finally know stillness is not your punishment. It isn't. It's your preparation. It's your preparation. Stillness as strategy, you have to know that it will work for you. I want to ask you, you ever sit with yourself long enough to hear your body whisper what your mind's been avoiding? That's when the shift begins. Not the dramatic one that gets applause, but the internal shift that quietly reorders your life. That's where we are right now. Because the old you, she ran on response. She was loyal to urgency. She believed quick was the same as strong and loud meant right. But this version of you, she doesn't rush to prove. She doesn't sprint toward chaos. She doesn't pour energy into noise just because it's familiar. She waits. She watches. She discerns. This is a sacred work of stillness. Stillness is not a stall. It's strategy. It's you deciding, I don't move unless I'm led. There's power in your delay now, because your delay isn't fear anymore. It's wisdom. It's wisdom. Let's take a breath and pause here. But to just settle in. You don't have to perform to be purposeful, right? Let that land. You don't have to perform to be purposeful. Stillness Queen is a form of strength that doesn't shout. It protects what panic should and would have sabotaged. It guards what urgency would have fumbled. It shields your clarity from being misdiagnosed as confusion. Because truthfully, you don't owe urgency your loyalty anymore. You don't owe every invitation your yes. You don't owe the moment a performance just because it's demanding one. You used to measure strength by how fast you reacted. Now you measure it by how long you can stay grounded before responding. That's not passivity. That's power in alignment. It is. When a woman learns to respond rather than react, when she speaks slowly, moves intentionally, and protects her peace instead of pleasing, a man feels that. Real masculine energy isn't intimidated by her stillness. It's drawn to it. Because stillness signals that she's self-led, that she's sourced from something deeper than attention. He doesn't have to figure her out because her presence is already speaking for her. No guessing, no games, no grasping for power, just clear energy. Stillness becomes her boundary and her magnet. Yeah. So when your stillness stops over-functioning, over-explaining, over-giving, you become a mirror. He'll either rise into alignment or reveal his avoidance. And either way, you're good. Because your identity isn't anchored in his reaction. It's rooted in your revelation. Right? Picture this. You get a message that feels off. A little manipulative, a little rushed. You read it, you feel the pull. And instead of typing out a long, thoughtful response to soothe the vibe, to make everyone feel good, you close the app. You go water your plants or go light a candle. And 3 hours later, your response is, thanks for checking in. That moment, that's spiritual maturity in motion. Because what used to activate you no longer owns your energy. That's what stillness teaches, right? You don't have to rush and run after every moment. Because tell me why the moment you decide to stay still, here comes the test all over again. You're at peace, you're grounded, you just journaled about protecting your energy, and boom, someone from 5 emotional growth cycles ago sends you, hey stranger. Oh my goodness. Ma'am, sir, please. We are no longer available for that performing. That's not a cue to re-engage. That's a cue to reaffirm. I've evolved past this. And my stillness is not a pause, it's a portal. And we're done entertaining whack conversation. And here's the truth we don't always admit. We used to think stillness meant punishment. If we weren't talking, we were being left out. If we weren't fixing, we were being forgotten. If we weren't busy, we were being lazy. But now we know stillness is not a void. It's a vessel. It holds clarity. It cultivates discernment. It teaches our nervous system what safety actually feels like. And sometimes, here's the holy part. Sometimes the silence is where God speaks loudest. Not through signs, not through strangers, but through the sudden knowing that don't say a word, don't move yet, this is yours to carry. And you listen. You don't override the instruction with action. You honor it with stillness. You listen because there is now space for him to speak to you. Queen, if this word is speaking directly into the places you've grown and growing into, don't keep it to yourself. Let me know in the comments what this season of stillness is teaching you. And if you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe. We'd love to have you here. You give me your time, I give you my best. That's our promise. All right? Let's continue. Because you've come too far to rush back into proving. You no longer measure your worth by your productivity. You no longer confuse peace with boredom. You no longer panic when the room gets quiet because you are the quiet. And Queen, let this land here with you. The next version of you, she's not louder, she's not busier, she's not performing. She's simply rooted in her values, rooted in her boundaries, rooted in her stillness as strategy, not surrender. Right? Just let that land. Because as we go, we will get more and more understanding, right? More and more awareness of where that quiet is not boredom. It's that stillness is not detachment, right? It's you understanding who you are more and more and hearing the voice of God in your life, giving you direction on what to do and how to do it, leading you and guiding you into becoming the best version of yourself. There's a certain kind of woman who walks into a room and doesn't need to raise her voice because her presence already holds the answer. But before she becomes her, she was you. She used to walk into rooms checking the energy, translating the tension, wondering what version of herself she needed to be for everyone to be comfortable. I know how that felt. She was fluent in emotional labor until she learned the language of stillness. And now, she doesn't shift to keep the room calm. She stays calm and the room shifts, right? It shifts because she is the calm. Queen, let's pause right here and just feel that. Feel that stillness. Feel what just rose in your body. That's what your peace, that's what clarity, that's what your strategy is speaking up without you saying a word. There's power in restraint, but most of us were never taught that. We were taught if we're quiet, you'll be misunderstood. If you're not defending yourself, they'll walk all over you. If you're still, you'll lose. A stillness, Queen, is not losing. Stillness is how heaven moves for you. Because your silence is not your absence. It's your agreement with divine timing. Yep, it is. It's your agreement with divine timing. And let me call this out real quick. We say we're going to let it go, right? We swear we're not texting back. We close the app, then reopen it 15 seconds later like we're just checking the weather. We're not checking the weather. And it's not weakness, it's a nervous system. It's our nervous system trying to close a loop that doesn't need closure. But stillness says this. You don't need to keep spinning in the story just to prove you've grown. You don't need to do that. You don't. A man aligned with his purpose doesn't need your panic to understand your worth. When a woman is rooted, a man either rises or reveals he never intended to stay. Stillness exposes clarity. That's why not everyone can handle it. That's why not everyone can stay in your story. Some chapters are meant to be closed, right? Remember what you've already been promised. The Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still. Exodus 14:14. Still, not proving, not performing, just standing in trust. Just standing in trust, knowing that He will fight for you. You ever been in that moment where someone sends a text that completely disrespects your boundary, and the old you would have typed a 7-paragraph response? But this version of you just locks your phone, grabs your journal, and whispers, "I'm not shrinking to educate you today. You already know." That's not detachment. That's wisdom fully bloomed. That's wisdom fully bloomed in you. There's a version of you that used to believe silence meant weakness, and now you know it doesn't. Now you realize silence is your sovereignty in motion. Stillness is where you meet your own knowing. It is. Silence and stillness is where God speaks without needing your defense. Stillness is where you stop chasing closure and start choosing clarity. Right? Picture this. You finally decided to stay in your peace. You've muted for the upteen time that chat, blocked that number, reclaimed your energy, and the next morning they send, "Haven't heard from you in a while." Oh my gosh, not today. We've got strategy now. You're not frozen, you're focused. You're not disconnected, you're divinely aligned in your purpose. You're not abandoning the conversation. You're choosing not to keep explaining truth to people committed to misunderstanding it over and over again. That's the difference between ego and energy. One wants to win, and the other wants to preserve what's sacred, right? We have to understand the difference. You've changed your inner state now. Now the world around you reflects it. Stillness is the evidence of alignment. Your nervous system is no longer addicted to chaos. Calm isn't unfamiliar now. It's your new normal. You believe in your power with such clarity that you no longer need to speak it out loud. Your pause is not passive love. It's purposeful. Stillness isn't distance. It's devotion to your divine rhythm. You've grown, Queen. And that growth isn't proven by how fast you clap back. It's revealed by how gracefully you choose your peace, even when chaos invites you back in. Let them wonder. Let them call you cold. Let them twist your story. Let them call you distant. You're not here to be understood by everyone. It's not even possible anyways. You're here to be aligned with God. And sometimes the highest form of alignment, is simply being still. Right? I'm going to let you sit with that for a minute. Because I know it's a lot. There's a lot of adjustment. We've been taught so much and practiced behaviors for so long. It takes time. But you can tell a woman has done the inner work by how she protects her peace in moments that used to unravel her. Not because she's checked out, but because she's finally checked into her own spirit. She's not silent because she's suppressing anything. No, she's silent because she's safe now. This is what the shift looks like. You no longer attend every emotional fire just because someone handed you a match. You don't play the role of translator in spaces that never intended to understand you. You don't spiral into reaction You rise into regulation, right? You rise into regulation. And listen to me now, Queen. Don't scroll past this moment. This is your nervous system whispering, we're not going back. This time, we're doing it differently, right? We're doing it differently this time. Because the right man doesn't feel threatened by your silence, love. He's drawn to it. Because a woman who governs her energy builds a space he doesn't want to escape from. Stillness signals safety, and safety is the foundation of masculine pursuit. You don't have to do more. You are already worthy. Stillness is how you say to God, I trust you enough not to rush this. You don't need to manufacture peace when you already carry it. The answer isn't always in the movement. Sometimes it's in the wait. Right? Because stillness isn't just about what you don't do. Let's make this practical. It's about what you now do differently. You no longer over-explain to feel understood, perform agreement to keep the peace, stretch yourself thin to avoid confrontation, break your own boundary to maintain connection. Now, you ask, does this preserve my peace or just postpone the fallout? Am I responding from presence or panic? Is this silence rooted in resentment or reverence? Those questions, they're your new strategy manual. Because you ever been like mid-voice note, all worked up, and halfway through your spirit checks on you like, is this even worth your breath? Why are you doing this? So you just stop recording it, delete it, and find something else to do instead. That's transformation in real time. Not because you're ignoring the moment, but because you're no longer negotiating what doesn't honor your peace. We're not doing that anymore. We're not. I want to ask you, like, have you ever blocked somebody and then feel so calm it's like your phone just got baptized? That's not petty. That's a spiritual reset. Stillness isn't something you force. It's something you become. And that kind of stillness can't be faked. It's not aesthetic. It's not curated. It's not a 5-step hack. It's embodied. It's practiced over and over again. It's hard-won wisdom from every room you used to overstay in. The old you would have explained, negotiated, spun your truth until it felt digestible. But now, you just say, this doesn't work for me. No monologue, no apology, just clarity. Because when you lead from stillness, you stop handing out explanations like they're coupons. You don't have to explain everything. You don't. You imagine the version of yourself that no longer reacts, and she appears. You rewire the pattern you are no longer addicted to, your own chaos. You believed peace was possible even when your past said otherwise. And you finally made contact with your soul. It told you to rest and not to run. You have to listen to your body. Listen to your spirit. You've done the work, Queen. This silence you're walking in is not avoidance, it's authority. You don't speak just to be seen. You don't move just to be validated. You don't perform for acceptance. Because now you know. Stillness doesn't mean nothing's happening. It means everything is aligning without your panic needing to manage it. Right? And Queen, if this message met you today, it's something in your spirit said, that's a shift I've been waiting for, then I want to remind you Your Queen's closing gift is waiting for you right now. Definitely hit that subscribe button. We want you here. You stay with me all the way through. You gave me your time and I gave you my best. And that's our promise. Now share this message with someone who's learning to honor her stillness too, right? Let her know she's not alone in this sacred shift, this change. And if you haven't, go ahead and subscribe again, love, because this is the space for you. It's built for women who are choosing peace as their protest and power as their posture. And thank you again, as always, for being here with me. Stay blessed and stay crowned, and I'll talk to you soon. Have a great day.